Good morning everyone, and welcome to our thought for the day for Monday 30th of March. Today's reading comes from Hebrews chapter 11, beginning at verse 17, and this is what it says. By faith Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had received the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, "It is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned." Now, Abraham reasoned that God could raise the dead, and figuratively speaking, he did receive Isaac back from the dead. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of Joseph's sons, and worshipped as he leaned on the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when his end was near, spoke about the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt, and gave instructions about his bones. By faith, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born because they saw he was no ordinary child and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be ill-treated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a short time. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. By faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who is invisible. By faith, he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea as on dry land, but when the Egyptians tried to do so, they were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell after the people had marched around them for 7 days. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. By faith, by faith, by faith, by faith. Well, it's fairly obvious what this morning's reading's about. The book of Hebrews is a book written by Jews to Jews to explain the significance of Jesus Christ, to explain who he is and how he stands in relation to the Old Testament, and especially to things like temple worship. And as I said, I think last time I did a thought for the day, as Jesus reinterpreted the law, the writer of Hebrews is at pains to explain that, yes, even though there's a reinterpretation of the law, even though Jesus Christ is the fulfillment of the law, there are themes that have run throughout Scripture. And what the writer of Hebrews is saying here is, look at all these stories, all these characters that you meet in the Old Testament. So many of them, and he only mentions a few here because he hasn't got space to write about them, but he explains that actually everything that was good, everything that they achieved for God, was done by faith. In other words, they trusted God's words to them. They trusted in his promises, even if they couldn't actually see what the promises would look like in their entirety, even though, as it says, they were following an invisible God. In other words, they knew enough about God. They knew enough about God's promises to decide to put their trust in him. Now, you may have noticed that I am sitting on a swing. I'm sitting here by faith. I trust that the swing will hold my weight. I trust that the tree that it's attached to is strong enough to bear my weight. It won't suddenly collapse. Now, I don't know it for sure because I can't actually look inside the tree. I don't know if this branch is rotten or not. I can't analyse these ropes here that are holding me up. But yet, I know enough to trust that I'm not going to fall today. And it's the same in our journey with God. Do you know enough to put your faith in him. Again, it's the same. There's a theme that's running through the week. This is about just trusting that God's promises are true. Trusting in his goodness and his love for one another. Because ultimately, it is only by faith that we can give God pleasure, that we can please him. The writer of Hebrews goes on to say, these were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. That's extraordinary, isn't it? The writer of Hebrews is saying that actually when we trust God, in other words, when we live by faith, we are in the same company as Abraham and Moses and David and all the others. For they were God's people by faith. So today may you be filled with faith, trusting God's promises and trust in his love. Amen. Oh, and the only way really to exercise your faith is, well, to put it into action. So here goes. Bye bye.